Well, it happened again. The UK is finally waking up by Decoy voice. This is probably about the two Scottish girls that were harassed. I think that's what it was. We'll just jump in and we listen and we don't judge, I guess. You could say. Let's just go.
How does a country like Scotland become so dangerous that little
Okay, they were Scottish. They were Scottish. Okay, Scottish girls.
girls carry around axes? And what's worse is why
And a knife.
is the media making them out to be the villain? As this video from Scotland is going viral.
Why you fucking with us?
Kid bastards!
Show the knife. Show the knife. Show the
Away from us!
show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her!
That's it. That's it. Show the knife. That's it.
Don't touch my little sister! She is 12!
Okay, so she is 12. Like, bro, if 12-year-old girls and 14 and 12-year-old girl tell you to fuck off, then you fuck off. And if you don't, I can't say what should happen.
She is 12 and you just bastards me!
But rest assured, Scotland, the girl has been arrested. Like most viral videos, we're only seeing a brief glimpse into an incident that was likely much longer. But I'm not certain how much context you need on a grown man antagonizing kids yelling, "Stay away from us," as the UK has had several reports of girls being horrendously attacked by specific men.
Grooming gangs in the UK. Well, that's weird. Remember that the dude also supporting the UK Online Safety Act is the same dude that didn't want to investigate grooming gangs in the UK. That should tell you all you need to know.
And it is a crime for them to even carry pepper spray to protect themselves, so it makes sense why people are siding with the kids. But sure, there is a possibility these kids were on a crime spree. It just doesn't explain why this particular adult was interacting with them in the first place. And given how much social media outrage is occurring over the incident, you'd be certain the corporate media would explain why the girl, and only the girl, needed to be arrested. But no. Days later, local outlets are only saying the
Remember, we have I don't know if others have that. Let me know. But we have essentially times in where you cannot have a like they literally put up warnings of like prohibition zones, whatever you want to call it, for like knives, and I'm like, yes, that's definitely gonna stop them. Yeah, no knife from 10 p.m. to 7 p.m. No, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. That's definitely gonna stop people. Yeah. It doesn't stop robbers from robbing when you say, robbing is illegal. Definitely does stop them, I mean. So stupid.
female youth was arrested over the bladed weapon, and she will be reported to the relevant authorities. Absolutely nothing on the guy recording, nothing as to why she had the weapons in the first place, which lets you know they're omitting all the inconvenient information as to why little kids in the UK feel the need to carry axes in the street, as Twitter users are hailing her as a hero, with plenty of AI imagery showing her protecting Scotland, and even comparing her to Saint
Joan of Arc. Joanne of Arc. That is interesting. She doesn't wake up the men of Europe. I don't know who will. The problem is this. European men have been... I am European. People have told us that essentially... let's not be racist, even if it's not. Anything that could be remotely considered racist, you should try to avoid saying, even if it is the truth, even if it's actually not racist. We were raised this way, especially if you're German. You're raised basically like you get like World War II bad. We all agree. Everyone agrees. But we're raised with the guilt of that still. Which has nothing to do with, let's not forget that, let's not repeat that, right? Knowledge of what should not happen again, of mistakes history, is different from you're raised and you're bad because of what happened back then. That's a totally different thing.
Of Orc, highlighting how the question isn't why is she carrying an axe, but why is a grown adult with that accent approaching her. You'd think these are all concerns the mainstream media would want to address, especially considering this story is basically my entire social media feed. But sometimes their silence is all the confirmation we'll get. But what's insane is far left Reddit's replies to Twitter's reaction, saying it's good she was arrested since there was another knife attack nearby months earlier, remarking the girls having weapons is going to make the immigrants get weapons to protect themselves from them. And then somebody saying they—
Wait, let me read that. What the fuck? The people who think this girl was just protecting herself by having these weapons are going to be singing a different tune if immigrants get tooled up to protect themselves from assaults by racist bigots who think they should be here. Well, if you go after a girl, a 12-year-old girl, then you probably should not be here. I agree. You should not be here. Just saying. The problem isn't the racism issue. The problem is a culture issue. If somebody's raised in a culture that is fundamentally and morally different from ours, it will cause problems here, just like you would cause problems in a country where Sharia law would be a thing, right? You would cause problems because you have a much more freedom-oriented view, right? You want to dance on the street without getting jailed, right? Reddit is brain dead. All of them. It's not a race issue. People like confused, like, I don't think these people are any less human than I am. But they are a danger because they come from a different culture that does not, for example, do these people genuinely believe that when somebody comes from a country where, for example, rape is tolerated, where, for example, actual misogyny is tolerated, do these people genuinely think that when they come here to Europe, to the US, that they're not going to radically stop? No, they don't. No, they don't. Why would they?
Protect themselves from them? And then somebody saying they faced a similar situation, not from the perspective of the kids, but the guy recording, to which every single reply calling him out for being in that situation got massively downvoted. There's a serious situation that needs to be addressed on Reddit, but that's for a different video. It's just insane to think that when a—
Let me read that post. That might be a made-up story. People saying the guy was probably bothering her, and I honestly don't believe it. Yes, youths are more vulnerable, but I have been in a similar situation where I was facing assault by minors, and when I told the authorities, they turned it on me, saying I'm discriminating against them for being autistic and cried about autistic. These little bastards know what they're doing and know the law. We'll always side with them. I'm glad that didn't happen this time. That is interesting. First of all, I believe this is a fairy tale. First of all, I don't think anybody, like, why are, that would be minors that actually, let's say this actually happened, right? That would be minors actively seeking you out to assault you, which I don't believe is very common. Second of all, I don't think that this works. You couldn't tell if somebody was acoustic from just looking at them, so that doesn't work either. I think this guy's lying. I think this guy's lying. And if he's telling the truth, he might spin around the story.
But the guy recording, to which every
It is literally in the video. The girls asked to be left alone. Why is he filming girls? He's bothering them. It's 19 downvotes. If you're trying towards 12-year-olds, they pulled out weapons. I guess I would have to side with the 12-year-olds. The context matters. They touch my little sister. She's 12. Or it's a little girl should never have to say you're disgusting. Yeah, it makes sense, right? The girls were clearly felt threatened. They were not. Yeah. Also, he's saying basically that minors were assaulting him. Okay, sure, that could have happened, but that isn't the case here, right? That isn't the case here, right? They wanted to be left alone. I don't think that somebody would assault somebody would be one to left alone. Weird.
Every single reply calling him out for being in that situation got massively downvoted. There's a serious situation that needs to be addressed on Reddit, but that's for a different video. It's just insane to think that when a video like this goes viral, Twitter and Instagram's perspective defaults to the kids, and how can we keep the girls safe? Then Reddit defaults to, what about the guy recording? That could have been any Redditor. How can we make everybody more defenseless? But after I saw that Reddit thread of the concerned parent finding out their kid is smoking pot, and Reddit collectively tried to cover for the kid, then shaming the parent for being concerned about it.
What? Found in my daughter's room. Not sure what it is. Okay. Appears to be weed, possibly.
Finding out their kid is smoking pot, and Reddit
helps blend her makeup. Thank you for the award. My little sister back at home just happens to have that. Looks like that. What the fuck? Here's a little side anecdote. I know a person where weed, when she consumed it for the first time, has actual mental health issues. Fun fact, not everybody can take weed because everybody reacts different to it. Just saying. These people are retarded. Yes, cover up drug consumption. Somebody else's daughter. Sure, that's definitely gonna help. Some call it weed. I call it loser herb.
Collectively tried to cover for the kid, then shaming the parent for being concerned about it, made me completely lose faith in the collective hive mind of that platform. As there is a valid concern about viral videos being falsely framed, where this other clip from the UK shows what their police are preoccupied with. As
girl was dragged away from McDonald's, what the fuck did she do?
most people would find this ridiculous, but it was later reported that she was arguing with the McDonald's staff and police, scratching and kicking them, as just because they're kids doesn't mean they're not
Okay, makes sense. Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Capable of crime, and just because we identify better with one group, let it be law enforcement, students, or migrants, doesn't mean we should default to one side, as I don't even really believe that Twitter community note either. But what we're seeing in Scotland, or the UK as a whole, makes me believe the absence of information means Twitter is correct. As look at Scotland in 2019. 2 years later, the same side is protesting deportations. Then this year, when Trump arrives in Scotland, we see mass immigration protests just like in the US.
Remember, in these protests, I can guarantee you, there's a super high chance that in these protests, there are most certainly migrants. Either people have been living in the UK for long enough and have properly you know, found their place in society, in society, right? Or it's people whose parents and grandparents came to the UK, which is funny. We also have plenty of people with migration backgrounds here in Germany who said they don't want these fuckers here. They bring death, they bring illness, they bring problems, crime. If people who are not German say that, for example, then something's wrong. Then something's off. Then something must be done. Because remember, if you're a migrant, or if you're an immigrant, right? If you are, and you've been living in Europe for years, for decades, right? Your grandparents have been living here. Your grandparents have been living here, right? Your parents. And you actually are part of this society. You're a functional member. You are willing to do and do your part in this, right? You're gonna get put by more radical groups. You will be put by more radical groups into the same category, which is not good for you either. I don't want like third or fourth generation Turkish people getting their ass kicked because of these people, because of these violent individuals, these sometimes you could call them monsters, considering well, taking into consideration what they sometimes do. I don't want people that are not that to be put in the same category because of those. If you commit a crime, you should be sent back from wherever you came from. That is what I believe.
Quite an unusual thing for Scotland. For years we've been told in Scotland that left of centre, the refugees are welcome here. Well, today Falkirk have said enough is enough. People are here protesting this hotel just at the other side. They've had hundreds of refugees staying here over the years, and people are really upset at the fact that some of them have been involved in really heinous acts now.
Isn't it interesting how globally all these Western countries are experiencing the same exact issues simultaneously? It's almost as if there had to be a global agenda for this to take place, and whenever a crime...
Of course there is a global agenda. It's same for the censorship stuff, right? It's the same, right? It is... Like, this all happens around the same time. This is all the same thing happening around the same time. I mean, the UK starts, then the EU starts, then the US starts, Australia starts. This is all the same. This is all just, like, pre-planned. This is already, like, they already made up their mind.
Say a migrant attack on school kids, or a migrant swinging a machete at federal law enforcement, it conveniently gets omitted from the mainstream media as it harms a liberal agenda, as they can villainize conservatives or police all they want, but once they start saying the kids are bad because they feel unsafe, that's what sparks a revolution. So if you appreciate my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, subscribe to Decoy Voice.
This just goes to show that this just continues, and this will get worse. This will get worse. This will get worse. And these people will get more. And once they're enough, they can have access to politics. If they have access to politics, you're going to see much worse. You're going to see much, much worse. But for now, we can't really do anything except spread the message that this is not okay. This can no longer continue. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.